Welcome everyone to the ACSM Exercise Science Special Interest Group. Today we have the pleasure for Wolters Kluwer joining us for our second Spring 2026 webinar. Dr. Dieringer today is going to talk to us about enhancing exercise instruction with Lippincott Connect. And then we have a few little announcements at the end. We know we're starting a little late. We are recording today, so we will post this to YouTube and get it out in case you have to leave for classes. I know finals are starting and all of that. But please tune in and let's hear some great things from Dr. Dieringer, and I'll stop sharing and let him share and let y'all take over. Let's see, where is my stop share? Actually, I don't think I was sharing to begin with, so y'all didn't even see the slides that I had thought I was doing when I hit record. So you guys should have full access to be able to share, and if not, I can help you with that.
Dan, I've got the deck, so I've got it queued up.
Oh,
here we go.
Lindsay, thank you so much. Hey,
just all drive. Just say next.
I work with a great team. I'll start off with that. You know, it's like all of us. We work with a great team. We look better, right? That way. That's everything. Well, thank you again for letting me present today. And it's like I just mentioned a second ago. I've had the great opportunity to work with a great team with Lippincott, and I hope some of you faculty that work with different platforms, digital platform companies. If you work with Lippincott and their personnel, it's quite amazing. Very professionals all the way across. Let me introduce myself a little bit to start off. I know I presented before, and I've really, I'm an ACSM member and professional member, and try to attend as many seminars as we can. My name's Dan Dieringer. I'm an associate professor of health and human performance at Bethel University in Tennessee. So we're kind of halfway between Memphis and Nashville, and out in the country a little bit. And I've been there for the last 7 years. Now, I've spent over 30 years in higher education as a professor. So, but Bethel's a very unique environment, unique place. It's home, and that's what we're here. So I'm also the coordinator of the exercise science department here. A little bit about Bethel, just to kind of tell you a little bit about us. We're exercise science is the second largest major on our campus. We're roughly about 3,000 students, a little bit more because we have some online students and so forth. But 98% of our students that are in our program, we have a wide variety of a curriculum. It's mostly a exercise science. We have a general degree. We have then pre-professionals, physical therapy, occupational therapy, athletic training, and we get our students out into the field. Good, about 98% of them do paid internships, and most of our work is focused on developing students for rural healthcare. And about 50% of these graduates, 87% of my students go off to grad school. We've got an excellent group of young students, very intelligent, very highly motivated. Like I said, I'm lucky. I'm around some really smart kids. I'm proud of that. But about 50% of those students earn fellowships in different capacities or contract work. So we're very proud of our students at Bethel University. And so using this as kind of a case study, we really developed that. So next. Okay, let's talk a little bit about, and what I want to present to you guys today is about Lippincott. First, how did we find each other at Bethel University, myself and the team? Well, we really, initially we started off with ACSM material, right? That's our gold standard in this field. So I have a university that wants us to develop and train health professionals and going on to graduate school. So what better material? You've got to work with ACSM. And Lippincott has propriety of ACSM material, which is amazing. And this is where the Connect, the online program, started to evolve. And it's so how do we handle this with our students at Bethel? Again, we're a smaller private university. We've got a lot of our students that are student athletes or performing in Renaissance and performing in different areas. So we've got mobile students that, how do you get this material, the gold standard material in healthcare? How do you reach your students and expect the quality of work to be done and get them onto the graduate schools out of the next level? Well, we find this out just on this slide a second. Upholding that standard is critical for us in my department and our university. So how do I present this material in an easy fashion form? We all know our students want online work. We all know our students, how do we deliver this system? Lippincott does this for us. It provides flexibility. Okay, so I'm like a lot of everybody in America as far as college professors, right? You teach your courses, and then where are your students? Well, our student athletes, or they may be jumping on planes and buses and all over the country, so I don't always get them every day of the week. So how this platform has provided great flexibility for me to deliver the ACSM material. And it's scalable too. So we can work with different sizes of students, large groups in classrooms and smaller groups. I really don't have smaller groups. I mean, our average class size is about 16 to 1 with faculty ratio with us. And it's a little smaller even when you get into some of the upper division courses. So relatively speaking, between 30 to 25, and then maybe even smaller to 10 to 12 students is what I work with. So it's scalable because of the flexibility that this platform provides. So the next, we'll probably move forward on that. Thank you, Lindsay. Okay, well, where did this all start? It started with about 3 years ago for me. Again, we're looking to deliver ACSM material to our students, in my department. I'm looking to deliver this material to the students. Starts with testing and prescription. All right. That's where it all started for me back in 2023. So at that point, it's just evolved. You'll find the flexibility with Lippincott and ACSM. Like I said, the team is awesome because we're able to form and organize and coordinate pretty much whatever you want and however you decide to deliver this material. So starting this fall, I've been working with 3 years with exercise physiology, the Plowman text, exercise nutrition, my nutrition students, and I also have nursing students involved in that nutrition class at Bethel. So I've got exercise science, fitness and wellness, PE, and nursing students in my nutrition class. Biomechanics. And again, all of these texts, I will, starting this fall, every one of my courses, being anatomy, being group exercise, exercise phys, biomechanics, all of these courses starting in the fall will be a Lippincott platform and we'll be using ACSM material. So I like to think my performance of my students is just going to be improving upon that. So I've been working from 2023 and, we've been on that. So it provides a lot of flexibility. So look in the next one. Thank you, Lindsay. Appreciate it. Again, I started with, oh, sorry, no, you're okay. That's okay. We started with exercise, tests, and prescription. And you'll find that when you work with ACSM material and the Lippincott options, with some of the great things, and I'll talk about more detail on in a minute here, the methodology I use of my teaching progression is, the capabilities of what Lippincott does give you. You can design your own quizzes. You can design tests. There's already standard tests and quizzes available. Case studies. I have yet to meet a professor over the last few years that's worked with Lippincott. Every one of us assigns our case studies because it's a great medium, either as testing the material or obviously just sometimes just starting class discussions and getting your students talking about this material. But it all started kind of back in the day, a few years back, with the testing and prescription class, because it was able to integrate the guidelines. We'd also have ACSM guidelines. I connect guidelines to my test and prescription class, and also the material with laboratory work and videos. There's a lot of great videos that this program allows you to do, ACSM videos. And again, you can integrate, ask, develop questions, develop quizzes, develop tests on that platform. And again, it's accessible to students where they can find a Wi-Fi uplink. You can assign the material. You can also post videos and so forth, like lectures and discussions on that. So go ahead. Okay, so this is how I do it. This is my methodology. Again, over 30 years of doing it. I'm sure everyone logged in has their own approach, and scales it to unique sizes, whether you're at a larger university or whether you're at a medium or smaller university like myself. This is how I do it. This is proven the numbers of success that I believe our students are having at Bethel. So if we're working on a standard 3-day a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday course, and of course I scale it also to a 2-day a week, Tuesday, Thursday courses. But the very first day out of the gate, I combine both a formative and summative assessment styles. Okay. But the very first day of the week, my Mondays, and again, some of this is based on travel when I actually get my students. I'll explain that in a minute. So Mondays, lecture day. I'm going into the lecture hall, a classroom, we're talking about the material. And Lippincott itself, the great thing that Lippincott does is the ACSM text gives you summary highlights. You also have the availability for, I use a lot of the slides, and I go back and forth a lot on my Mondays. I have to lay my groundwork, right? Lay the foundation for the week. This is what we're talking about. And whatever topic you're going through that week. Oh, I'm sorry, Quincy. Thank you. I'll spend just a little more time on it. Thank you. Wednesday to me is lab day. And lab day was basically I integrate my labs with my classrooms, my classes, excuse me. Uh, Labs, why did I pick Wednesday? Simply because at my institution, Fridays, those athletes that are jumping on planes and buses and all that, they're gone on Friday. Wednesday was the day of the week that I know I pretty much get most all my students in class. So we're going to practically apply what I talked about on Monday. Friday is reinforcing that material, going over the material again. And then, of course, their work or assignments. A lot of times, I'll open up the material on Monday morning at 8 o'clock, and then it's due by Sunday. So those that are on the road playing sporting events or games or performances, they can at least get their material turned in by Sunday night. Gives us that flexibility. And again, as you can see, we integrate the case studies, I integrate the quizzes and the labs and the exams. I give exams like everybody else does, and the Lippincott platform allows you to build that for you. Or I have standard stock exams you can look at yourself, which is also useful. Lab videos are big on Wednesday. Correlating with what I have in my lab at my university. As you can see down that far column on the right, I integrate both formative and summative type material. So we're constantly testing. I'm constantly asking questions, and they're giving me the feedback. And so by the end of the week, when on Friday, I simply say, okay, guys, to my students, all right, everybody, how did we do? What's your questions left? What's on the material? Material will be due later that week. Thank you, Lindsay. Okay. I have my little teaching tips. This is how I do it. I've had success doing this over the decades with it. I was taught this. As I say, just a little intro. I'm an old retired football coach. Okay, and so over my years of coaching, I'll never forget when I was a young coach, young teacher, thinking I knew the world and had the bull by the horns. Well, walking into the classroom and communication with your students is critical. All of us knows this as instructors. And as I always say, my first tip is, and I tell any one of my younger students or doctoral students that I work with on their dissertations, I said, if you're teaching a class or you're working with a team, you got to simply be able to walk into that classroom and talk to your students. Everything's a conversation, just like we're having today. You got to be able to connect and relate to the students. This is where this digital platform, I think, really helps me excel as a teacher. Students want it. Students can do this. You're able to introduce the material in an easy fashion, whether you're dealing with smaller groups or even larger groups. And the key about Lippincott is you can reinforce that material and reinforce it. And if you have to review it through resuscitation of materials, you can easily do that. They have a Prep U, they have reserve programs, chapter efficiency quizzes again, and you can design them also. So the flexibility in this platform using, again, ACSM material, you can craft it. You can craft your quizzes, exams, and material, how you teach it to your own students and their needs and their abilities. Okay, I don't know. This is my comment. Lab day, Wednesday. I know due to travel, my students, it's usually student athletes, it's usually the best day to get all of them together. And I say this is where the rubber meets the road. This is where you take the academic material and the practical application, you marry it together. Okay. So, uh, Lippincott does allow you to perform many of these labs, and also you can integrate some of the case studies with them too. So the quizzes, the videos are really amazing because you can go through their ACSM videos. It's easy to integrate. Go over and teach the skills, rep the skills, and practice the skills. Okay. And as I say, that's where you connect the dots. Okay. Take the lab activities, the case studies, pull them together in the lab, and have them practically perform that lab with your equipment. That's Wednesday. Okay. All right. How do I provide closure for the week? Well, that's my Friday. Okay. I may not get a lot of my students there. I get, again, some are on the road, some are back and forth, but I can still communicate them. And that's my old coaching comment. Repetition, repetition under constant supervision. This digital platform with the material and like any scientific based, evidence based material, as we all know, when we try to quiz and give exams to our students, right? It's all about repetition. It's all about resuscitation, rehearse, rehearse, rehearse until it's second knowledge to them. And it's just a neural response. They're going to be able to respond and react. Friday's my cleanup day, as I call it. I go over any questions. I constantly supervise. And, as we all know, as teachers over a long period of time, each group of students will be different. By that Friday, one group might get it. Some of the group may still not have it, comprehended by Friday. This gives me an opportunity to go back into the platform, redesign. You can always review the video, you can always review the lab work, and everything can be integrated with your LMS. I wanted to make that comment too. This platform helps a lot and can be integrated with your LMS systems. We're actually going to change our LMS system. We were told by my administration this. I think we're moving to Canvas. So, but again, the Lippincott team, they got technical support. It's really been a godsend for me and my university that we can rely on the Lippincott group to help us with integrating this material into all of our work and for the best comprehension on it. So, okay. As I said before, I rep my material. I know pretty much everybody logged on probably does it in their own way too. So what kind of tools can this provide? Well, I use the testing and prescription because that's what I started off with years ago, and integrating that material. Uh, we can design prescription workouts based, you can use your case studies, you can use the videos, and the Prep U, where you actually can go in and design and craft your own questions based on the knowledge level and the speed at which your students can understand the material. So again, flexibility is what this allows and offers. And I'm not trying to blow the lid off on stuff. I know that some of the people in Lippincott, we're hearing that they're trying to integrate some AI techniques and technologies, which will be even more exciting. Who knows? As this develops in their programs, integrating AI will be a godsend again for all of us faculty that get pressed to try to adapt programs and material through this. Okay. Again, that leads me to the fourth tip, a teaching point I like to give to anybody, younger professors, younger teachers. I've got them, like all of us that have been around long enough. We've got some of them out there that are getting graduate degrees, getting into teaching for the first time. I give my students and my all of these type of words of wisdom or hints, and the materials that are allowed in this platform, they help streamline the student learning. And the key is, once you load this material up, the student can always go back to it. Some platforms don't allow you to do that, or they lock you out of a lot of material. You can keep some material open for them for as long as you want. You can let them go back again, like a lot of pro platforms will let them take a quiz over again or something of that nature. Like I said, somebody's gone on the road, they missed something, somebody's sick, somebody had to go home for a funeral. Well, you can easily go back in, and the platform is a lot more user friendly for most faculty. But you can focus that integrated learning in whatever environment you have. And again, I can't stress it enough. We are using the gold standard ACSM material, which all of our students are going to be using in grad schools when they progress into their graduate programs or out in the field when they work in healthcare. Okay. One of the positive things, I know a lot of platforms will give you this capability, but the feedback and the immediate assessment that you get back in this platform and program is truly effective. I try to go back the first 5 minutes of class, usually even on my Monday, before I start my new material. I always give a quick assessment on my students and say, hey guys, last week, what did you get? What did you not get? Because all of us, before we move forward, we got to make sure our students understand it from the beginning. So, and based on your different LMS platforms, Lippincott can easily integrate into most every university's LMS platform, which obviously gives immediate feedback for the student and immediate feedback for the instructor and even the administration. I know at our campus, we do 3, 6, and 9 week grade report checks. Well, hey, Lippincott, it can just integrate right into the LMS, and they can pull down the reports. You're not always using and having to do your manual time to try to produce all of these reports. It helps. So, oh, okay. Oh, this is my fun part. I get to always experiment, right? As a professor, we like to do that. You got to stay on the cutting edge. So, um, what I like to do, what I've integrated over the last few years, again, because I have such a high percentage of my students going on to graduate school and going to professional schools or out in the rural healthcare fields, I want them to apply and learn skills. I designed the signature project. research project. Undergraduate, I know it's undergraduate research. So it starts off with certain classes, and I start teaching simple quantitative techniques and skills, research type skills. I give them a format, just like when I work with my doctoral students, how the standard format of an introduction and a lit review and a methodology and and a results and a discussion format papers. So I integrate that technique quantitatively into each course. And of course, it marries excellent with ACSM material, and Lippincott programs easily help you in your grading, easily help you. And again, as AI programs develop, it's going to allow us to understand the methodologies and test the hypotheses in the lab as part of their program, part of their every one of my classes using ACSM material. I have them do a signature project, and it's supported by those guidelines. And again, you can assist that and help grading process in that in your LMS using the Lippincott material. So you can actually marry these technologies together for whatever research project you want your students to learn. I just want my undergrad students to learn the techniques because I know they're going to be applying them in grad school. Some of us in grad school, when we got to grad school, kind of hit us across the face. And if you weren't introduced to some of those techniques as an undergrad, it shocked you. I try to take that away by teaching these skills in undergrad and say, okay, guys, if you're going to go to grad school, day one, this is what's going to happen to you. So they're not surprised. They understand the format. And again, it all combines. I just want to say I'm trying to connect the dots here today with everyone. You've got the ACSM material, Lippincott is your platform. Now you're developing those foundational skills and applying it through research, through different fundamental skills that you're teaching in the lab, and you can test material. Now we don't go to the extent of IRBs yet. We're just working on skills with each other, but we can in the lab we can run EMGs and ECGs and talk about how to take VO2 max testing and metabolic testing, do a sub-max Bruce protocol. We can do all of that, but I'm integrating it with the ACSM guidelines, which also the guideline text. I have, you have the capability to do multiple ACSM books with Lippincott. This semester, I have my ACSM tests and measurements and guidelines, and I can assign material from all of it. And it all is formulated and integrated right into an easy, readable, functional grade book. So again, it's kind of a great combination of the platform with the material, and you have the flexibility to be creative on how you want to teach your classes and what you can meet your students' needs. Okay, well, I guess it's time for me to wrap this up. My slide shows this here. I just want to, also encourage you guys about some of this. We can achieve using this as a vehicle, this Lippincott platform through Wolters Kluwer, using this as a vehicle. All of our students want to use the technology, but they've done a good job, the company has, with trying to integrate the gold standard of material for high performance, rigorous material, and able to teach it and present it in a manner that most students would find easily accessible. I have shown consistency year over year, and I apologize to give me 1 minute. I was collecting some data and doing some numbers with some of the team, and the other day. And I do this. I collect data on all my classes and all my exams and quizzes and all this. So for the last 3 years, we've been able to run some testing. And what it has shown is that my coursework with my grades has risen from other platforms. I'm not going to say which ones, but other platforms that I started off with a few years back. And then when I transitioned over to Lippincott, it has shown a consistent rise. It has shown a consistent rise in my instructional performance for my students. Okay. It's showing consistency, general overall improvement, and the assessment has truly met the reliability standard. So it's a significant standard. It met the p-value 0.05. It shows so the significant standard in overall improvement and consistency in production. I argue with anybody that's exactly what we want to do as an instructor, right? We want to make it consistent. This platform is the tool to take the material, the gold standard material, and help us get our students to have a consistent performance in their grades. And because we got to lay that foundation as undergrads. As undergrads, you got to lay your foundation if your students are going to go on to grad school. Because if they show up into graduate school without this foundation, without the ACSM understanding of those scientific standards of fitness and performance, they're not going to have a lot of success in graduate school. They will struggle. So it's our job to lay the groundwork and lay the foundation. And so you've got the gold standard material, and here's the tool you can use to teach the students and apply it. So I don't, what do I got left? Do we have more slides? I didn't think, are we towards the end? Lindsay. Again, thank you. Lindsay, she did such a great job. Justin, Dave, Terry, they're a great team. And all you got to do is reach out to everybody. Trust me, I was the first one as an instructor to just go, wow, I don't know how I'm going to do this. I know how to teach. I've done it for decades, but how do I start integrating this material in a platform that my students can use? Because they're so, at my university, I don't get everybody the same day. I'd like to say I do, but I'm not. Mondays and Wednesdays, yeah, Fridays at the end of the week. But they all, my students are good and they let you know, but how can I communicate with them? This team helped me experiment and start some ways. And now with the advantage of AI, I can actually integrate research techniques, methodologies to my students so that I think I can, I hope, and I know I have with the fellowships and the work that they've earned going on to grad school and what they've done after grad school is I like to think we're trying to do the right thing here at Bethel. I mean, everybody's got their own approach. I totally respect that. This is mine. This is what works for us. And we're seeing the results. But it's like anything, the great results we get as professors and see our students grow and develop and move forward. There's all those little parts, right? The material, ACSM, the delivery systems, Lippincott, and then allows us to be creative and adapt to what we're trying to get across. So, yeah, I believe, does this open up time for questions or?
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Dieringer, and thank you, Wolters Kluwer. We would love to open the floor up to some questions, and thanks everyone who's logged in with the technical difficulties we've had. We've had about 25 people kind of come and go, which is great for the last minute. So please unmute yourself and feel free to ask any questions. We also have representatives from Wolters Kluwer that may be able to help and get you in contact with representatives and other things if we can't answer the questions today. I will go ahead with one as they're thinking of some others. Have you had any pushback from students about, I don't know, I can't remember the exact cost, but any of the cost associated with it, or having to go to another kind of website instead of using their kind of learning management tool, or has that been pretty seamless and students haven't really had any issues with it?
Well, I guess I'm being the director of my program. I guess I was tough with the team early on. Lindsay, Terry was, and I would Dave Price and Justin Dorr, and I was very open. I'm very upfront. I'm an old football coach. I was an athletic director. Cost was everything for me initially, And I just flat out said, hey, guys, I don't want my students paying more than $100 for any platform. Because if I get my students taking 3 or 4 classes, that's $300-400 to get all the material together. Now, granted, it's ACSM material. So they have always, this group has always met that standard.
Awesome.
And you can negotiate with them a little bit, and they will do the best they can. I can't say it's always been, but this is not, and I know out there because I did my research, guys, like a lot of us. I did my due diligence. Material was number one. I'm sorry. I wanted the ACSM material, but the second, obviously, my students had to be able to afford it, right? I mean, I don't know. I don't teach a bunch of millionaires, kids. Like maybe you guys might. I don't know. And so cost is the affordability factor is everything for my students. And so this group works with you. They really do.
Yeah.
And they also do different. They give a lot of platforms will give them the 14-day free trials and all this stuff. But Lippincott works with your students. They really do. And that of anything besides the material and the flexibility and just the group that I worked with here with Lippincott over my 30 years of teaching, I felt okay. These guys have my students' best interest at heart, and also the parents' pocketbook and their pocketbook. So yeah,
Good.
yes, they work.
No, that's awesome. It's always good to hear. Looking at cost, we know it's a big factor, especially for smaller colleges, for sure.
That's number one.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
I get it. I thought I saw someone unmute, maybe to ask a question. Anyone else have another question? Maybe they have.
Yeah, I was going to ask. You talked about using the second edition of the testing and prescription, not the guidelines. How do you handle the online when they come out with the new edition of the guidelines and it doesn't mesh anymore with the older second edition, things like that?
Call the team. I have integrated them. I've taken the edition, and this semester, maybe if Terry is on or someone Justin can help you with it from the Lippincott team. My test and prescription class also has the updated guidelines that came out at the Atlanta conference this last year. So when they release that, Lippincott integrates this, and they have their own set of test questions. You could use PrepU and design your own off of them. But and actually, it's interesting. Is it Doug? Is that right? Okay, Doug. Okay, hi, Doug. Dan Dieringer. But basically, I tell my students, because we use both, and they, like I said, one of the members of the team can tell you probably how to do the integration of it. They taught me how to do it. So I'll set, here's your test prescription assignments. Now let's match it with the guidelines. We're doing cardiovascular testing. Well, here's your cardiovascular stuff from test and prescription. Now, what's the guidelines say? How do you design prescription programs for it? How would a cardiac rehab look like? And so you can do that and integrate that. They do a great job with it, and it's got its own set of quizzes and case studies and all of that along with it. So to answer your question, I apologize, I'm rambling on you here, but to answer your question, yes, I have integrated it together, and and I really like it. And here's the point. I do want to say this: there's the bookshelf. Please, somebody from the team help me out here.
Vital source bookshelf.
But the bookshelf, once the student buys it, they've got it forever. Some platforms and programs, they only get it for 6 months and they never get it back. They got to pay more money. But once they buy it in the bookshelf, they have it. So the students I've told that are going to grad school, I say, guys, this guidelines book that I'm making you buy right now, and you've just got accepted to PT school next semester or this coming summer or next fall, hold on to it, because it's the updated guidelines, and you don't have to buy it when you get to grad school because you're going to have it forever. And so, I try to help them out that way. Maybe that's one less book they got to buy when they get to grad school. But and again, I know the Lippincott team can tell you a little bit about it. Lindsay or Justin can and Dave can talk to you about that. Terry can talk to you about it. So I just give them a call. That's what I do.
And we don't have to expand on this. This can be after the fact, but I figured the Lippincott people are here. Are they giving refunds when students have issues? I've reached out, but I'm not hearing anything. But I had a lot of issues in the fall. And then those same students, because we separate testing and prescription. So one of the pluses was they would take testing in the fall, and then we have access to Connect for a year. So they take prescription in the spring. Basically, they get 2 courses for the price of 1 from a textbook standpoint. But I had a lot of issues in the fall, paid for those textbooks. Then it went better in the spring, but my students had to double pay for a textbook. And so I'm just wanting to put it out there, since I know the team from Lippincott is here, that what can I do to get those refunds on that first semester where I had a lot of issues with it? Again, that can be another time. I know there's more important questions.
No, and Doug, thanks for saying that. I will attest to this. I've never had it, but then in fact, my students don't like the other platforms. Every now and again, we have to use the other companies. Lippincott really has never given us that headache. But again, they will come in. My area rep, Dave Price, down here in the southeast part of the country, my very first day of class, he and I have we have a Zoom link. I bring him right into my classroom, and Dave registers him right there and tells him how to go through it. But again, maybe somebody from the team would explain that. I hadn't had that experience, but I'm sorry you did.
It's okay. It was much better in the spring. Much better in the spring.
Doug, we did a realignment, so there's a new person covering your school. So I'll follow up with you.
Okay.
It's on my note because I now don't cover all of Tennessee. So we'll get that addressed for you and take care of that.
Perfect.
Thanks for flagging that for us.
Yeah. I do want to just real quick just talk about pricing, just because it ranges across the spectrum. Most of your schools are on like book programs or inclusive access programs. It's always best to keep the cost down to do digital, because all of us, we're old school. We like the printed book, but most of these students, well, I shouldn't say, but all the students, you don't see them walking around with paper books anymore. So it's always best to do the digital option, unless there's a situation like sometimes in texting and prescription courses that you may want them to have the printed book, which those are all options depending on the course in the bookstore. We will work with you to give you the best affordable options to go through those programs. Outside of students that are on financial aid or book programs that are inclusive access when they get their books, we do also offer in some situations too, where students that aren't on financial aid or aren't enrolled in those programs, where they can buy directly from us at 30% off, right? So depending on your institution, we can get the rep follow up with you and find out what process works at the bookstore to make sure that we get the lowest cost option for the students.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I see, Aaron, you have your hand up.
Yep, thank you. And I apologize, I missed the first half, so this might have been covered. So I wanted to clarify, one was the price, and so then the students have it forever, right? Like, because that's one thing, like these 6-month subscription or whatever, and we want them to use it in multiple courses. So can I just get clarification, if they buy this, how many like what does that look like? How long do they have it?
So they have access to the learning modules for 12 months, right? There are some options for like guidelines where we could do 24-month access to the software. But as Dan was saying, the Vital Source ebook is now integrated into the platform. So we're trying to streamline accessibility where they're not managing an ebook on Vital Source and then going to Lippincott Connect. So what Dan was talking about is the first time they access the ebook, if they don't have a Vital Source ebook account, they'll create one, and then it goes to the library. Then they'll have perpetual access. So let's say it's my testing or prescription course I'm taking this semester, and then I will come back and visit it my junior year. I will still have access to the ebook as a student. It's just you as a faculty member, if you wanted to assign a chapter quiz, for, special pops or something like that, it may not meet that 12-month cycle, but you could definitely use it to build a custom quiz and export it. You just wouldn't be able to assign anything after that 12 months, unless we did like a 24 month.
So but the ebook, they would have access. So it's like buying a hard copy. They'd have access to that for life. But then the module things, the extra learning experiences would only be for that 6. Got it.
Yeah, 12 months. 12 months for all the titles except for Introduction to Exercise Science. That's 6 months because that's usually just a 1-course semester offering, anyways. But
go ahead. I apologize interrupting, but and that's why I told my exercise test and prescription class with the guidelines. And they can help you, Dave, and those guys can help you integrate both texts. That's what I told my students that are going to grad school. Dave, actually, my first day of class, I get Dave on every one of the classes. He starts off the first 10 minutes of class with a Zoom call. I put him up on the screen, and he walks through the pricing. And then he also teaches the students how to download it into the bookshelf. I believe that's right. The bookshelf, it's called. And they've got the book, the ebook forever. I told them, hey, if you're going to grad school, you've got this book. Now, if they have to buy the platform to do the testing and all the quiz, yes, that they have to pay that. Every you get a 12-month prescription for that. But for the book itself, if they download it, they've got it forever. And most other companies don't do that. They don't even get close, let alone is it ACSM material. So,
yep. And then my other question was within this, I don't know, I would assume it's with the modules. Is there a video repository, like how I want to, how to do skin folds correctly, how to run a push-up test, all that, are there visual videos?
Yes, there are. I'd have to go through each one, but for the basic, these are ACSM produced videos. So they're ACSM and it's run through the Lippincott platform. So yes, those are videos and you can assign them. You can not assign them. You can, however you want to. I have my videos up through my students all year, to be honest with you, because I make them go back in their signature projects, their research project that they do have to do a paper on every semester. I leave them up there because some may want to have a skin fold test or, how to take blood pressure or, it's how to run a VO2 max test. All of that is on, or, a sub Bruce protocol, sub max Bruce protocol. All of that's on. They're all the ACSM videos. Yeah.
Thank you.
Aaron, I would just chime in to say that there are different videos aligned with different ACSM titles. So depending on what you're teaching in that course. So for example, the Resources for Personal Trainer book might have different videos aligned to it that are specific for those needs, as opposed to the videos that are aligned to the exercise testing and prescription book. So as you're talking to a rep or you're considering the resources, they can get you access to kind of take a look and see what's aligned to the book that you're considering.
And then for your introduction to exercise science, there's 31 podcasts of different people that we've interviewed that could be very helpful. If you're that course, generally you'll try to bring guest speakers in or, people from the field. That's a great resource for the students too, because, getting to hear from different experts in that course can kind of help decide, if they're interested in those fields too, as well, as opposed to trying to call your friend and say, can you come speak at my class? Or, going to YouTube and trying to find, a podcast. There's definitely a lot of visual learning tools and video modules that are across the spectrum that over the last couple of years since faculty have been using have been really helpful for the students that are visual learners too as well.
Awesome. We thank you for that. If anyone else has a
question.
yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Dan.
Is everybody here using pretty much digital platforms? Right? I mean, I'm just curious. I want to know because I almost have to in my environment. But Does everybody here, because some don't like digital platforms. You know, I think the one of the things that kind of made me really do it was after COVID. You know, after COVID, if you didn't know how to do it, you definitely had to learn it, how to just run something simple. And you know, really, it's what my students want. My students want. The reason why I do, you know, I do this research and work on it. I'm trying to serve my students, and you know, everybody's going to be different, and everybody's going to, you know, adapt it to their teaching style. I like to think my teaching methodology that I put up here is relatively simple and it's adaptable. But I get the most effectiveness out of it because I can rehearse it and rep it and rep it. But you know, if you're thinking about working with a digital platform, obviously this is the gold standard, the ACSM material, but the flexibility that this platform gives is better than I've seen with. I've worked with, like a lot of us that have tried it. You know, I've worked with 3, 4 different platforms. Um, we kind of lucked out with. I feel like I lucked out with this one because it's ACSM material, and it's a very usable, user friendly for me, which is not. I'm not the highest tech person to actually adapt this to my classes, and my students really like it because they want that. They can do it on their phone. I think yeah, they can work on their phone, they can work on their laptops or tablets or wherever they go on the road. So if you're looking at with the material and a platform to use, this is the best one I've found out there.
Awesome. Well, we really thank everyone. We do want to be, even though we started a little late and had to jump around, we do want to thank everyone for their time and be respectful of it. One last thing we do want to point you to, just as part of our SIG and ACSM, is what we've got coming up is our at our annual meeting in Salt Lake City on May 28th. We'll have our annual kind of SIG in-person meeting that we look forward to every year. In that meeting, we will also have Wolters Kluwer's Innovation in Teaching Award. They'll be out, so we have selected a winner, but we keep that under wraps until that meeting. So come and hear the cool things that some of your colleagues are doing. Additionally, Wolters Kluwer will be there with a table. They're always happy to talk. I think a lot of the people on this this call today and on this webinar will be there. And additionally, I saw an email go out last week or early this week, and then again today about a breakfast opportunity. Just a heads up, Lindsay, I'm not sure the updated link they sent is the right link either, based on me clicking on it. So you may want to check that out and let them know.
Thank you.
But our reps are here. They are always happy to talk to us. We're happy to talk to you, but we hope to see everyone in Salt Lake City. That will be digital as well. So scan that QR code and either put it on your calendar or get that link that will work, unlike today's. And then also always connect with us on Facebook and LinkedIn. And if anyone has any questions, I'm sure they can hang out for a few more minutes, but we thank you for your time. We thank you for everything. And we will have the recording posted out to you guys as quick as we can. So thank you guys so much for coming. And thank you again, Wolters Kluwer, for everything you do to support us and our missions at each of our colleges.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Our pleasure.